Hello and welcome back to TGC After Dark, where we discuss the biggest political issues of the day. TGC is, of course, powered by CRED and has been throughout the Border Gavaskar series, or indeed any of the rallies that have been coming up and down over the course of these 4 test matches. Pez, and we've been, of course, using the scan and pay feature throughout the course of this series. And under the scanner for me today is just all about the Khawaja rally. It's been an unbelievable... It's actually kind of Cam Green's rally at the end of the day. I feel like Australia have slightly won the day. But in terms of rallies, where does it sit there for you?
Oh, this is some Becca Agassi shit, really. Which were actually short rallies because Sir Volley was in at the time. And Sir Volley's actually been in our YouTube comment section following our podcast on Monday. Hey, I want to... Can I start, I think, in a connected way by saying Happy Holi to everybody for yesterday. Celebrating, of course, he goes, the divine love of the god Radha and Krishna. Just looking down the barrel of the camera as I say that.
And of course, Holly Furling.
Look, they're your words, not mine. But of course, every day we're celebrating Holly Furling. Holly's about the victory of good over evil. I liked that today was about celebrating, friendship through cricket. A lot of pageantry at the start of the day, he goes. And look, I think some of that pageantry and some of the friendship between Australia and India, which we should respect and we do respect, is about the, China's knocking about, to put it in grade terms. China's looking to cash in after tea. China is big on wolf warrior diplomacy. And as someone said on my Twitter feed today, I think Jaya Murdita said today on Twitter, today was about flat deck diplomacy. I think it's a wonderful deck that's been served up by India today. And I genuinely praise them because I felt it was a great day of Test cricket. In many, many ways. And I thought there were good players on both sides. Usman obviously gets the chocolates. But I thought India had a couple of really good bowlers as well who pulled them back into it. So I'm happy with today's play.
I agree. I think we should be celebrating friendship through cricket. There are over 700,000 Indian-born residents living in Australia. That's the most... outside of English-born residents. To put that into India terms, that'd be the same as having about 4 million Aussies living in India. And there's many things that join us all together. And what I'm all about today is I'm all about the grind. And I'm also into Albanese and Steve Smith grinding against each other while singing the national anthem. These are all new things that can excite me when I go to a sporting event. It has been a rough day for the keep politics out of sport guys. And then I also think, well, every day for those kind of guys is probably a hard day, if that's your sort of go. But I feel like in many ways India didn't win a session. I'm not sure they lost too many sessions at the same time, but I feel like it's a really even day. It's a really evens day play. And the only thing that makes me think that India are actually maybe slightly ahead is just that Australia has no guys after Pete Hanscom who have scored test hundreds, and it's a long tail. And Cameron Green has looked fucking amazing. He's looked fantastic. I think Carey's a good player, don't get me wrong, but it's a long tail. And look, if India were 4 for 255 at the end of the day's play like Australia are, I just think that with Axar Patel batting 13 for India, I just think that they'd be looking at 500. And I just think the game has never escaped India at any point today, and the relentless accuracy of their bowlers. They're just always in the game. Just always in the game. But I think from the outset, we should probably just celebrate Usman Khawaja, who's now the leading run scorer of the series for either side. Apart from Nagpur, where he didn't score any runs, he's actually looked Australia's best player, and I suppose there's been runs everywhere. So the 60 on that deck in indoor last week was probably worth 150 in other conditions, but. There was a great race on today, Pez, where he was on about 86 and there was 14 overs left, and I was like, just give him the strike because I want him to have it tonight. Because people talk about batters I'm having a sleepless night. If Usman Khawaja's on 97 over 9, I'm not getting a wink, mate. I'm not getting a wink.
Yeah. Sorry, just your fault. Oh, I thought he was still going. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, he's been the batter of the series. So far. But I loved. Look, who knows what's going to happen in this game? That's the nature of life. But like, I feel like we're watching the kind of cricket in India that we used to watch as kids. It's like Australia's 4 for 250, good day. But the nature of the dismissals of at least 3 of the guys, possibly even 4. I mean, Pete Hanscom, when he faces fast bowling, he's playing French cricket, and sometimes playing French cricket showing his stumps. But that's a really harsh way of judging his technique, but it just looks like that sometimes. The way those guys got out were like, each of them walked off going like, I've thrown away 200 there, you know? Like, and so it's one of those ones where like, you've seen before Australia makes 400 or 450 and they're going to bat last, you know? Like it's one, it just has a little bit of that in it. And that's credit to India and to India's bowlers. You could tell I liked their demeanor in the field today, India, where it was so different to the tenor of every other test match where everyone is sniffing a wicket every 4 or 5 balls, and so everyone is on all the time. It's chaos and it's mayhem. But like, Rohit's laughing, Virat's laughing. They know that they're in for a couple of days in the dirt, and they stay kind of light, and batters are making mistakes, and they stay in the game, and they know when to pounce. I thought like Heady kind of took down the new ball a little bit, but then, you know, after lunch, like, you know, Mo, and after tea, especially like Mohammad Shami, and before that, Boys Yadav, like really, you know, they dug deep for India, bowled really well. Ashwin and Jadeja before that pulled them back into the game with unerring accuracy as usual. Australia had to work really hard for their runs. I thought Steve Smith probably, like, he almost out-focused himself, you know, to a dismissal. And then Australia rallied at the end. It was true ebb and flow. You know, Khawaja batted beautifully throughout. Cameron Green looks better than he's ever looked. So I'm nailing him on, and which was a silly thing to say. So yeah, it was. I just thought it was a really interesting day's play and a much different tone to what we've seen in the past, and very welcome.
I thought in terms of selection, I mean, both sides went with the same team they picked last week, but I think I looked at this kind of wicket and I was like, I think this is a wicket that Australia will miss Pat Cummins on. You know, I mean, I know India's missing players as well, the likes of Bumrah, who's just had back surgery, but it's just that kind of wicket where it's like, you just need some dryness from your seamers as well. I think Mo Shami's excellent. So actually looking at some stats before, and this Indian bowling attack's got 4 of their top 15 bowlers ever in terms of Test wickets, and Umesh Yadav, Boys Yadav, is like 12th on the list all time for Test wickets, and you know, I just love a 4/10 of just bowling it so short where he's actually got to mind his toes. He actually needs to bowl in like steel enforced boots to try and to protect his feet when he's bowling bumpers, such as the pace, the shortness you need to pitch the ball to get it anywhere near, especially around Cam Green. Not sure anyone knows this, but he's actually really tall. And I just love a bit of spell. But we all know that I love Boys Yadav. Just he's the kind of guy just gets the boys around him. And I like that when he took the new ball, he wasn't ready for the new ball. It's hot, and I just like that amateur element to his persona per se. You know, I'm down with that. I'm down for him being exhausted, not expecting the new ball, and bowling it over at 120. I'm also excited by him getting it into the deck and like minding his toes and just making something happen just to try and get fucking people around him. I think we're talking about India a lot today, but I feel like they sort of clawed their way into the game. They never lost any session today, but Australia and Khawaja. I just want to talk more about Khawaja. I mean, it's just a fucking... it's his 14th test ton, and there's just always going to be this element of like, if he finishes his career with 20 test tons, he's 36 years old. That's probably not going to happen. There's always going to be these lost years with Usman Khawaja. And I'm not really sure what happened, though I do think we should bring the guy back who let him go. But there's just always going to be this element of like this what-if-ness with Khawaja, you know, and now it's hundreds in Pakistan. It's hundreds in India. It's obviously bulk hundreds in Australia. And now the final frontier for him, from a personal perspective, will be, can he do it in England? And who's to say that he can't? I remember last time he was playing in England, or the beginning of his career, he was just getting Graham Swanned, you know, and missing balls by 2 metres being given out. You know, but it was pre-DRS. But he's evolved to become like this, probably one of the best openers. Maybe he's in the top 2 openers in the world at the moment, or since he's come back into the team. I'm not really sure about that. I just like making grandiose statements, but it's It's just remarkable, but there's just always going to be this what if. But right now, when he got that freebie on the balls from Mo Shami, I fucking celebrated. It made me happy in my heart, and I feel like that's how most people in Australia, perhaps even around the world, feel when Usman Khawaja gets a little fist pump and he maybe does a bit of LeBron celebrations, if that's your kind of gear. It makes my heart happy. And I suppose that's what I want to focus on. But I also want to think about, what about the lost years? So that's for my therapist to reconcile with, I think.
I think you, lost years is a separate issue for you, but I think you touch on a very important point, which is, the discussions about the private equity in Indian cricketing hegemony and the place of white ball cricket, in a like red ball cricket in a white ball world, etc. It all boils down to one thing. And it's like, make me feel something, in this cold, dead world. And this algorithmized world. And today, Usman Khawaja made us feel something. The powers that be in the stadium today, Narendra Modi, Anthony Albanese, both riding the Batmobile, made famous in Angry Anderson's 1991 rendition of Bound for Glory at the MCG, which unfortunately, and let me just have a little parenthesis in this, by the way, I don't care if this gets clipped up. Say what you want about the caution and skepticism of white Australia when it comes to any other country, particularly with different coloured skin, doing well and getting some power in the world. Say what you like about it. If the Narendra Modi Stadium's capacity of 130 or 110,000 makes it the biggest ground in the world and that annoys Melburnians, then I'm fucking all for Narendra Modi Stadium. You know what I'm saying? So while those guys are riding around on their Batmobile that Angry Anderson once rode in at the MCG in 1991, and Jay Shah's in the stadium too, and they're thinking, how do we lead the world, against failing and problematic and crumbling democracies? The answer is to make people feel something. And today, Khawaja made us feel something. I think there's a little kernel of, of humanity in what Usman Khawaja did today. What the fuck am I talking about?
I love the idea, Pez, that in Asia, I like seeing Steve Smith bat in a brand new baggy green because the old one was eaten by rats in Sri Lanka. I love Pete Hanscom batting in a floppy. I love an athletic Victorian doing something. I love big guys from Western Australia and Queensland doing something. And I like a South Australian having a bit of charisma. And I just like my New South Wales guys just being fucking jets. But what I really want to see, Pez, is different headgear. And I won't be happy until I see an Australian batting in Asia in an Akubra.
Yep.
Okay? Maybe with a bit of straw out the side of his mouth.
Yes.
That for me, utopia.
Yes.
Okay? That's all I want to say about this day's play. 4 for 250.
Or perhaps he's carrying a swag as well. Would it fucking kill them to carry a swag? Would it kill them to camp by a billabong at the end? To actually carve out a billabong? I'm sure they could do that in Ahmedabad. Would it kill them? While we're on the subject of things we like, and what I liked, like one thing I liked about today's play was like I liked the arrhythmia of Narendra Modi Stadium, that it was a side wicket. They're keeping the good ones, I suppose, for the IPL, and one boundary's in. No, I like that. I'm serious. I like that I like the imperfection of it amidst the efforts for perfection, and I like the stadium is so big that Gary and the team at Star realised that walk off the field for a bat who has failed to make 200 is so long. They're going to get the cameras behind him. And I tell you what, God damn it, that's a lonely walk up those concrete steps of hell that I saw. Like Hanscom using his bat as a walking stick by the end to get up. Like every dull thud echoing against the bitumen and the perspex glass. Nothing so evocative as failure and solitude on a flat deck. I love cricket. I loved cricket today. And friendship through cricket. I'm all for it. Authoritarian or otherwise, Let's go.
More of it. We want to see more of it. I want to see what's in store for day 2 for the Festival of Holly Valence.
What's the one that's going to lose all sponsorships? Where did it go wrong? Hard to say. Are we moving on to that obligated segment, Higgos?
Yeah, that's right. Hashtag AskTGC. And if you want to get your hashtag AskTGC, hey, drop it in the comments and we may read it out tomorrow.
Yeah. Jack writes in, agree with Haydos that there's no reason why UZZIE shouldn't just come out tomorrow and smack another 100. Do we agree with that? Yeah, there's no reasons why that shouldn't happen. Thomas Condon says, Panthers played well tonight. Someone else says, get to have a ride in a Batmobile today, did you? Okay, a serious quick question for you. He goes from Anshul Renard. Even after we've got 255 on the board at the end of day one, why do I not feel safe yet? Have I become too insecure because of those shit tracks? Will I ever be able to feel safe again? Will we win the Ashes this time around?
The answer for that is you don't feel safe because Lyon, Kuhneman and Murphy have all got their pads on already. And that is, I mean, that's kind of the reason. It does feel like one brings six here, boys. So, yeah.
Finally, and I don't think it really gets much better than this, but Tom says, nothing feels more safe than UZZIE and Slender Man smashing out the last session. Real Gallipoli type shit.
See? Akubras, slouch hats,
Billabongs,
training
swags.
jerseys made by Mambo, board shorts with Quicksilver on them, man from Snowing River, warming up in R.M. Williams.
Yes,
these
Clancy
are
of the
all
Overflow.
things-
Yeah, Slim Dusty, Road to Gunda Guy. Dad, the 6 o'clock swill, Mum's cooking. You know what I mean? Son's smoking in his room with cigarette on his fingertips. My sister's out with the boys. What's she doing? I hope she's safe.
Having a neighbour called Taj.
And Toady.
You know what? It could be a rough day for India fans, and by that I mean because they haven't bowled Australia yet, and Sri Lanka are doing some stuff over there in New Zealand. So it's all to play for until the next day happens. We'll see you guys right here on the internet tomorrow. Thanks for sticking with us. Cheers.